Alright everybody, welcome back. Nimager here, and today we are going to be walking through the second faction in our Faction Wars Hard, how I completed to get this amazing reward of Polara Fireheart. And the next faction we're looking at is going to be the Lizardmen Crypt. So all 21 stages, I'm going to quickly go through the basic champions I used, strategies I used for each condition on the stages. Again, this is not a free-to-play guide. This is not an all-encompassing guide. I'm going to be talking about the champions I used, champions I have. I'm not going to be focused on a lot of theoreticals, but just give some tips along the way for what I found to make it easier. I'll show some of the waves for the harder stages, but we'll try to breeze through these first ones as we go through. So starting with stage 1, heal your champions by 500,000 HP, that looks like. This one, not too hard. You've got Donnie. He's going to placing continuous heal. He's going to be activating your continuous heals. If you don't have him, then you've also got Epithion, who is a previous fusion. Removes all debuffs from allies. Heals them by 10% plus extra for debuffs removed. And the A1 for the Pythion as well. He's going to be healing the lowest HP champion by 5%. Again, not too hard. Biggest thing is with this being stage 1, you could be doing too much damage, so I'd recommend one damage dealer or taking a little bit of damage off your champions, because it's probably going to take you longer to heal than it is going to take for your champions to actually get through the stage. 2, placing ton debuffs. If you go into the debuffs for the Lizardmen, you could see Ramontu. He's probably going to be one a lot of people have, as he's free from the missions. A1, 75% chance of increased cooldown, and a 25% chance going up another 25% to place a stun if the cooldown is increased to the max. This part right here makes it pretty hard to be able to use him to get the stuns. Fushan, he's going to be in the token shop, so another chunk of people might have him. Attacks all enemies 20% plus 15 chance of placing a stun on all enemies. This is a pretty good one to use, makes it really easy. If you don't have Fushan, your biggest thing is going to be going in and using a stun set, most likely. For me, Basilisk in a stun set, attacks all enemies. Throw him in stun set, let him do his job. If you've completed, I believe he's from Void, or the Doom Tower, you've got a Ba-Satha as well, attacking all enemies and placing a stun. Not going to be too hard to get through this one at all. Stage 3, poison debuffs. Here, your MVP is going to be a Venom Mage. You don't need anybody else. Attacks all enemies, 75% chance of heal reduction, and 2 poisons. If he places them on all 5 champions, 2 times 5, 10. Do it a few times, not too bad. You can throw them in some Relentless or decrease cooldown gear to make him get them off. You can run them with Donnie to reset the cooldown again. Fairly easy to go through. Stage 4, 10 provokes. If we go into the debuffs and we search up provokes, you're not getting a lot of it in here. You're going to have your Skull Lord, who, if you have him, he's going to be pretty good. He has got a 3-turn, books down to 2, 75% chance of a provoke, but it's single target, and nothing else provoke-wise in his kit that I'm aware of. That one's not too bad. For me, what I actually did is I simply ran in there with a Basilisk, put him in a provoke set. He's attacking all enemies on the A1. Just have him do that until you land 10 provoke debuffs. 5, reduce 6 enemies by 50% HP with 1 skill. This one is a pretty easy gimme. You just throw in 1 nuker. If you've got a Teox, you can do it all in 1 skill. But any nuker for the faction. You've got your Lazarius. You can put Ramontu in some damage builds. Predator's a big one a lot of people are going to have going forward. Chugger, we'll talk about him later. He's a great use for this faction. You can even throw Venom Mage in some DPS gear and he'll do it. So this one, not too bad at all. Stage 6. Manipulating turn meter. You can see I am fairly lucky and I have pulled 3 Lazariuses and I have 2 copies of them. He's going to make this very easy, as his A3 allows you to increase and decrease the turn meter of your team and the enemies. If we go into positive effects for the fill turn meter, you've got a few different champions who can do it. You've got your Teox, who's going to be a good one doing it on his passive. You've got your filter meter of the debuffs from the Ramontu. I'm not on... Oh, I think it's on Predator A3. If he doesn't kill, he gains some turn meter and Perfect Veil. Doing that 40 times is probably going to be a little difficult. If you've got a Necmo, he's got, again, on the A3, an increased speed and turn meter fill. So any combination of these champions here is going to make it pretty easy. Lizarius, I think, being the best as he's doing it to the enemy as well. Stage 7. This boss... You'll see as we cover Faction Wars, the purple boss is the worst boss by far. Why is he the worst boss by far? Well, he's going to attack all enemies, and he's going to hit relatively hard. He's going to place a fear and block active skills on your team, and the debuffs increase for each buff that he has. Then he's got a reflection, which is going to attack all of your team, steal all of your buffs, transfer all of the debuffs on him to you, and apply a debuff spread, so if anybody doesn't get it, there's a chance that everybody's going to get them. He's going to then increase the duration of all the debuffs on all allies by 1, and he's going to decrease or increase the debuff duration on your team, the enemy team, by 1. And you might read that and think, wow, that's a lot. But then he's also going to have a third skill, which is exchanges HP with the enemy, which is your team. And then he's going to level his team out. So you can get this guy down to about 15 to 10% HP. He's going to swap with a full HP member of your team, and suddenly he's full health, your team's all almost dead, and you got to clear him in 100 turns. Best thing I found to beat with him is just have all your champions in nuking gear and try as hard as you can to time the nuke so that you can get him down before he uses the health swap skill. I found that Teox between the A3, the A2, and the ally attack on the A1 is going to be the easiest champion. If you don't have him, just using your best nuke as possible. Again, for being stage 7, he's got reduced stats, so this boss isn't as bad as it could be. However, beating him in 100 turns where you've got to clear 2 waves, the boss 1 time, and then if he swaps health, the boss a 2nd time, makes it fairly hard to do. So I would say this is actually one of the harder stages. Took me a few days of trying going through. Oh, this was before I had Predator. He might actually make it a little bit easier because he's going to ignore some of the effects and he's going to be counterattacking a lot during the fight. Stage 8, heal your champions, refer back to previous stage. Donnie, Pythion, again, not going to be a hard one at all. Stage 9, stun debuffs. We've gone through it again just a little bit longer. You can have your Fushan, but again, Basilisk stun stat. He's going to go through it. Stage 10, using 3 epic champions. Not going to be too hard if you use any assortment of epics from here. I've used the Basilisk a lot. If you put him in a stun set, he's pretty good. I use him in Cursed City and for Faction Wars. He does a decent amount of champion on this A1. So if you throw a decent amount of damage on the A1, throw him in some damage gear, he's going to help you out. Venom Mage is a really good one. He's going to be placing the poisons, and he's going to make the enemy team actually deal less damage when they're under poison. Other good epics, you'll see Aox. He's got some turn meter heals going on. Those are the main 3 I used, but throw in 3 epics. Pretty self-explanatory stage. 11, provoke debuffs. Same story, Basilisk. Provoke set, go teal, get 15. It's not terrible. Stage 12, defeat all enemies when they have no buffs. With Lizarius, he's able to remove buffs, so it's not that big of a deal. If you go into the other effects, you can actually see a remove buffs under negative. So Ramontu is probably going to be the big one here. The A3. He's going to remove all buffs, place the block active skills and passives. He makes that stage pretty easy. 13. Reduce 9 champions HP by 50% with 1 skill. Not too hard. Throw some nukes at the team. Teox makes it really easy. Predator is probably going to make it pretty easy. Anybody in nuking gear, not going to make it too bad. 14, next boss, He's not going to be too hard, this boss. What he's going to do, he's going to attack one of you and an additional person who's under multiple debuffs. He's going to place some poisons. He's going to decrease some turn meter. He's going to place poison sensitivity and some more poisons on your whole team. Another thing, he's going to decrease your turn meter. And then he's going to remove all buffs from enemies. For this boss, I found it not to be too bad. You just want to make sure that he's removing all the buffs from you. Then you start buffing up your team. By the time the buffs wear off, this cooldown will be back up. And you just got to make sure you're watching that sync of cooldowns. If you end up buffing your whole team right when this is about to be up, he's going to make it a little bit harder to go through. Stage 15, with all your champions alive, not too hard. Biggest thing for Faction Wars, you can throw Donnie or anybody in a bolster set. You can even have another person in a shield set. Big HP bar. Same wave we talked about with the Ogren. These people right here, very difficult to deal with. They're going to have Stone Skin. Mountain King's going to hit really hard. Decent strategy I found to deal with them is for here, Ramontu is going to be your fastest champion. He's going to open up. He's going to remove everything from all the Stone Skin. If you can then have a nuker go fast enough to nuke him down, won't be too bad. Just make sure you're watching out for the Tormund freeze. If you have somebody like Teox, he's going to be getting a lot of turn meter, so if you put him in Feral, it's not going to be too bad. You want to make sure he's not going to accidentally get frozen and screw your run up, but this one is much easier than the Ogren version. Stage 16, get an extra turn. For me, very easy. I just transform Lazarius a few times and it was over. If you go to the other effects and gain an extra turn, Teox is going to have an extra turn if his A2 kills somebody. Chagur, I don't actually know where his extra turn is, if I'm being honest. But there's a few options for extra turn. Biggest thing for this one, if you really need it, is just throw a few champions in Relentless. It could be your Ramontu, your Donnie, your other support. DPS you can keep in nuker gear, and just hope that throughout the fight you get 5 extra turns. It's not going to be too bad going through it. 17, no weak hits. This stage sucks. If you are doing this, and you have your Void Champs looking like mine, it's not going to be too bad, because you've got Chagur. He's going to go and attack. He's going to place a ton of poisons and decrease defense. And before the enemy goes, he's going to have a chance of placing a sleep on them with his A1 when he counterattacks. And if you do that, it's actually a pretty easy stage. Ramontu, you can build him in a damage build or just a support build. That he's also going to be the #1 person in here. But you can see outside of Ramontu, if you're not lucky enough to have a Chagur, not many options to go through. Biggest recommendation, you could throw a Broadmaw in. You could throw a Slixus. He's actually going to do a little bit of damage. If you put a Cat's Gaze on him as well, he'll deal a decent amount of damage going through. Biggest tip is just as many Void Champions as you can. If you don't have the Void Champions, you want to avoid anybody with multi-hits, or you want champions like Donnie, where he's got one that's not going to be hitting any enemies at all with his A3. You want to be careful with the A2, but he's got a single hit on the A1. You can usually target out a good affinity, and when the negative affinities are gone, then you can use the A2, reset your cooldowns. He's going to help out a decent amount. If you just have a mix of affinities in here with Ramontu, you're probably going to be able to make it work fairly easily. It's going to be a stage just mostly of resetting until you get the right RNG. 18, defeat 4+ enemies before they take a turn. Pretty self-explanatory, not too hard. I guess we could look at the wave for this one since we haven't looked at them so far. If I pull it up on screen. Again, the dwarf wave for me, this is where I try to do everything. It's not a hard wave at all. Defeat 4 of them before they take a turn is just boost with Donnie. Try to knock at least 4 of them out, preferably before Molly goes and provokes your team. Or if you have a block debuffs up, you'll be fine. Try to get it done on this wave. I personally never once got a few of them on wave 1 and then tried to do it on wave 2 and 3. I just did it all on wave 1 and then focused on just clearing wave 2 and 3 without my champions dying. You can see on wave 2, you got the Nell, who's going to make it a little hard to buff up. Alleel's going to pump out a decent chunk of damage. And wave 3, Tetsuya, again, is one of my least favorite champions to go against. You're going to get maybe 1 or 2 turns if you're faster than him, and then he's going to cut in. If you don't have Stone Skin or block debuffs, he's going to remove a lot of your turn meter and place fears. Biggest thing is just try to kill him first between the waves, and then you should be good. This one is the decently easier version of the Tetsuya wave as you go forward. Back in game, going to stage 19. While they're under 10 debuffs, this one is not too bad, but all of the 10 debuffs are probably my second least favorite compared to the no weak hits. If you've got Ramontu, you can see decreased defense, weaken, speed, and block buffs. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 debuffs. He's going to be placing a True Fear on all enemies. However, it's not the initial target. So he's got a True Fear in this kit, but it's not going to be on the person you're placing 4 debuffs with. The biggest thing, Venom Mage, he's going to have heal reduction and 2 poisons. So if you place that with Ramontu, then you're up to 7. He's also got a decrease attack, which is going to bring you up to 8. Some more debuffs in the faction is if you bring a poison set on somebody, that's going to allow you to bring some more debuffs as well. Predator has got a new debuff with the Hunter's Gaze. That's going to make it a little easier to place as a unique debuff. For me, what I did is I went through, I placed all the debuffs. There's a decreased crit rate on Aox to remember as well. But if you just let Venom Mage go twice, he's going to place the 2 poisons, heal reduction for 3. You're going to have another 2 poisons if Venom Mage goes again with Donnie Reset or something like that. That's going to be 5 debuffs. Ramontu is going to place another 4, and then if you have the Hunter's Gaze, that's 10, or a poison set proc, or any of the relics that are placing a debuff. You can have Chugger out there placing sleeps. This one, not too bad. If you've got a Karen, the Harvester, he's pretty good. He's going to reduce all your turn meter and have a decreased speed and a sleep, along with a ignore of block debuff. So the biggest thing with the 10 debuffs is keeping them on while the enemies are still gaining turn meter and taking turns. So being able to control turn meter with Karen or extend the duration of debuffs is going to be pretty big, but I didn't think Lizardmen was too bad compared to some of the others. Stage 20, keeping your champions above 75% HP. With the Hegemons, same strat as the Ogren, put 3 of your champions in Stone Skin, and congratulations, you've completely negated Hegemon. If you look at the wave, it's going to be the same version as the Ogren version that we saw in the previous video. You're going to have a Hegemon open up. Calamitous is going to be your biggest fear if you got the 3 Stone Skin. Overall, not too hard. Taking out the Narcissus on the second wave is pretty good. He's going to... Most of the time, you'll have a bolster set on your champions to stay above 75% HP. Narcissus does a lot of damage if you've got a shield, so taking him out, or the Ancora out, and making sure you can CC the Narcissus is going to be pretty easy. Commodus and Sissia, I've never once had ruin the fight, and Theodore might as well not be there with his poisons and decreased speed. Wave 3, again, a little bit of RNG to me. You've got your Hegemon, who should be out of the fight. Next target to take out would be an Eric's. He's got a counterattack, and he's got a lot of healing in his kit. So if he gets going, he's going to be taking your champion's HP down. And then the Kaleth, he's going to have that passive where it's 20% chance to just take an instant turn. You want to make sure he's CC'd as much as possible. Champions you can use for the wave. For the CC, you can put him to sleep. You can make sure that he is stunned. You can make sure that he's provoked. You just want to take away... You can also take away his passive skill as well with Ramontu, which make it a little easier. But overall, he's probably going to be the biggest fear going into that stage. And 21, overall, not too bad. You've got 200 turns to take out the yellow boss. Is pretty generic. Attacks all enemies. He will do a decent amount of damage. Ignore 100% of your turn meter. He will transfer all debuffs from him to you, and it can't be resisted. He's going to have fears, so as long as you've got a cleanse, that's going to be good. Note on the fear, it can't be resisted, and he's also going to be placing a stun, except for the person who had the fear. And he's got a reflect damage and a pain link. These are the two that are most hard to deal with. Reflect damage, you're going to need a buff removal or a block buffs to take off of him so he doesn't get it. And then the pain link, you'll need a cleanse for. If your nukers are attacking during either of those two, they are going to die. For Lizardmen, it's not too bad. You can have a reviver like a Pythion or a Lazarius. They're going to bring him back. Lazarius is probably going to be an MVP because he can take the reflect damage off. He's going to place the block buffs, and he's also got a block debuffs for the pain link. But going through here, not too bad. You can have your Predator nuke him down. Ramontu's going to be good for debuffing and removing buffs. Teox, for me, was the biggest MVP, dealing just a ton of damage to the boss between his A2 and A3. But you do want to watch out for the passive of the Tainted Dueler. He's going to gain 2% turn meter for every 1% HP lost when attacked. So every time you attack him, he's gaining turn meter. And if he gains more than 20%, he's going to gain a Berserk debuff, which is going to make him deal more damage. And he's going to start healing while he's under that as well. So Berserk is going to let you deal more damage to him, but also him deal more damage. Just watch out. You don't want to hit him too much with multi-hits or take away his HP, as he's going to be gaining that turn meter, so just be aware of that. Overall, I don't think Lizardmen faction was too bad. MVP champions are clearly going to be your Lazarius if you've got him. Ramontu's free. Donnie was a guarantee recently. Predator was a pay-to-win guarantee, so you've already got 3 of the champions, and then you can fill in any of the slots. Venom Mage and Basilisk are going to help with a lot of the conditions, and Venom Mage is actually pretty good on the boss as well. Overall, pretty decent faction, not too bad. We'll get into some more factions in the next video, but appreciate you guys watching. Have a good one.